Hello, it's you/JFMV763 here, Jimmy Mitchell. Didn't know if I was going to do a podcast tonight, but figured that there was so much content on the sub today that I would because, there's like over 2 pages worth, which is, no, almost over 2.5 almost. Not, no, 2.25. It was a very busy day, so let's get right into this. It's funny when it's funny because when a lawsuit results in the course of action in Venezuela, Cuba, Vietnam, or China, the USA immediately label it socialism from CNBC by Chi-Town. Yeah, that's yeah, Chi-Town, they're just kind of tanky, so I don't take them too seriously. Well, to talk about your advanced AI, here's a GPT who Fred modeled after r/conservative. Let's see that. Um, let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty. What's the headline? Democrats propose ban on white people eating at Washington restaurants. Yeah, that sounds like something that'll be on our conservative. I'll give them that. Uh, yeah. Then let's see what's next. Uh, let's see. Gun shop owner explains the importance of understanding Texas Castle Doctrine law from NBC. That's worth by Harumph. Uh, Yeah, it's probably important to understand. I don't really understand too much, but I think it's important to, stand your ground. You know, Sometimes, people might, yeah, you might get shot for making mistakes sometimes going to the wrong house, but that's life, it's dangerous, it's the freedom you have to, defend your property as you see fit, and that's just, some people are like that, I guess. And, it's not a nice world, so that's why it's just life for you sometimes. Next, we have Montana GOP calls for censure of transgender lawmaker. I'm never really for censure. I don't believe in censure or any kind of censorship or any kind of suppression of speech. What they try and get her for? If you are forcing a trans child to go through puberty over there trans, there is talent support for the body. This body should be ashamed. Never said. I don't really. It's kind of a transgender circle jerk, but yeah, I don't think you should get censored for anything. I don't believe in censorship or whatever. I'm very clear on that, and that was by Ninja Lover from thehill.com. Michigan senators spar over unenforced penalty for unmarried couples living together from the Detroit News. It's interesting by Mkage, blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, I don't know what think about say about that. I don't think there should be any penalty for anyone who voluntarily lives with someone else. I don't think there should be any penalty there. Next, we have judicial record undermines Clarence Thomas's defense in luxury gift scandal. Republican mega donor Harlan Crow was linked to a conservative group that had court business while Thomas was on the bench. By Kage, blah 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 blah, and that is from the Guardian. Yeah, they're all corrupt, not just Thomas. Of course, they're gonna go after Thomas since he's a pretty far right figure these days, but they're all corrupt, not just Thomas. They're just go after Thomas because it's Reddit and he's got the wrong letter next to his name. Next we have the Iowa Senate passed this child labor law that lets 14-year-olds work 6-hour night shifts, 15-year-olds work on assembly lines, and 16, 17-year-olds serve alcohol from Substack by Chi-Town. I think that's completely fine. I think as long as I don't think it's as bad as the radical gender. I think we talked about this yesterday. I don't think it's as bad as all the gender affirming care, but I guess that's just my opinion. I think as long as there's consent, I think you can. That's gonna be fine. They are consenting. Yeah, I think that's fine. Your job is useless. Capitalist society is producing an endless variety of unnecessary, meaningless bullshit jobs. Work, consume, repeat. It might be time to end the system by Chi-Town. From Antonio. This is what we were talking. This is what we were talking about yesterday. Sorry. So those were from yesterday. Those were from yesterday. So yeah, I was just on the wrong page. Let's see what we have next. Next we have Oakland landlord stands to lose everything about after tenant fails to pay for rent for 3 years. CBS San Francisco by Ninja Lover. That's got a lot of comments. I didn't comment on that one. CBS San Francisco. Yeah, I don't really care too much for landlords. I'm probably more closer to the left than that. But I think, if you do enter an agreement with someone, I think you should probably fulfill that contract. And yeah, but that's life for if you were, yeah, yeah. So next we have Switch modder Bowser released from prison likely owes Nintendo for the rest of his life. ArsTechnica.com from Ninja Lover. Yeah, interesting his name's Bowser since he's one of the villains from the Mario series. Yeah, Nintendo's a shitty company. I used to be a big fan of Nintendo. I still kind of am, but I kind of move on from them. They're just a shitty, very anti-consumer, and I don't really care too much for them. Yeah. They're just kind of. I think they sent uh, boots on the ground after I in Belgium once I read. So they're just not really a nice company. No multi-billion-dollar company is a nice company. I would say. That's just that's the bigger company is, the more I'm against it. I'm someone who supports small business. That's why I think we need to support small business, not big business. If you like video games, I'd say support indie titles. That's what I would say. Mike Lindell firm told to pay $5 million and prove Mike wrong. Election fraud challenge. The Washington Post from Ninja Lover. Yeah, Mike Lindell's a knucklehead. A lot of them are knuckleheads on all the stop steal people. The non-stop steal. Pretty much everyone in Washington's a knucklehead. There are no more what ifs. It's already happening by Baton 13. This was though the Florida House Republicans held trans and non-binary kids hostage from their parents, but they were, that's the thing. Don't let context get in the way of a good narrative. They were throwing shit. They were being generally disruptive, and you can't have. I think that could have been considered a NAP violation. They were throwing panties, so I wouldn't have separated them, but especially with the ammo, that will give the Reddit Twitter left. But I think that they were kind of more justified in this than I'm pretty anti-government myself, but you just can't just be throwing shit at people all the time. Just peacefully protest. They don't throw shit, and yeah. So yeah, it's just oh, Florida is the fourth Reich. That's kind of Reddit for you. Next, we have going to the wrong car may get you shot as well from ABC News by FlimsyL5563, and that looks interesting. That's the thing. You can get shot any second, any day. I really hate to tell you guys that, but it's true. It is not a nice world out there. But thankfully, that's the thing. If you start getting shot, just don't leave your house. It's a dangerous world out there, and yeah. Of course, social media is gonna make you probably think it's a more dangerous world than it actually is. Yeah, they always like to boost stories like how many gun deaths there are, but there probably really isn't that many compared to what people expect. Like people think the USA is a war zone. Not really. As someone who's lived here my entire life, I can say the U.S. really isn't a war zone. I think I live in the suburbs, so yeah, not really in the inner city. So maybe that's probably could be a reason why. MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell offered to follow through with $5 million payment to expert who debunked his false election data. CNN Politics from Chi-Town. Yeah, we talked about that one from Ninja Lover posted it. Ordinary Americans are being forced to subsidize the military-industrial complex. This year, the average American paid $1,087 in taxes just for Pentagon contractors alone. Imagine the kind of society we could construct with a fraction of resources we devote to war. From Jacobin by Chi-Town. Probably one of the few times I'll agree with Chi-Town. I'll probably write that down right now. The few times I'll agree. Next we have more narcotic vending machines installed to reduce fentanyl overdose risks. Seattle drug decriminalization. That's from ComoNews.com. From Tur. Yeah, I always think Narcan's nice. I knew a guy from high school who's really involved in pushing the Narcan in my area, so that's I really like that Narcan. You know, it's good to prevent drug overdoses, I would say. But I think if people want to drug overdose and don't want Narcan, they should be able to as well. Report finds hate crimes increased during presidential elections. It really appears to be a one-sided Republican issue from thegrio.com. Yeah, the media kind of gets everyone riled up during presidential elections. You know, we're gonna see a lot of people get riled up next year, I would say. And Donald Trump really didn't help the last presidential election, so hopefully he's not the nominee next time. But he'll probably get people riled up if he's nominated or he's not a nominee. Everyone's just gonna get riled up. So yeah, it's always not gonna. That's gonna be fun, I guess. Jehovah's Witness abuse investigation charges fuel speculation. What is it about Christina turning so many people into pedophiles? From NBCBayArea.com, from Chi-Town. That's kind of, oh, they're all pedophiles, he always loves labeling everyone rave centers pedophiles. I would say, Donna. I would say that's kind of low blows, but I'm not gonna pretend the right doesn't label everyone left of centers pedophiles as well. So it's just kind of what to expect from social media. 80% of conservative outrage is just someone finding all stuff works for the first time by Mov Hugging Inc. Uh, I would disagree with that, but whatever. And like Vertex commented, 99% of liberal outrage is not understanding how reality works. Yeah, everyone has their own reality, it seems, these days. And, if you don't agree with someone else's reality, they're going to bully you. And, that's pretty much how life goes. You have to accept their definitions. Washington governor expects to sign semi-automatic rifle ban passed by state legislature. The people just get them illegally. I'm very clear on that. The government stretching definitions I posted that one. Yeah. It's like Joe Biden tweets, "Oh, we need to ban assault weapons." What's an assault weapon? All guns can be assault people. Guess what? No more guns. I guess anything can potentially be used as a weapon has to go. No more knives and forks. Hands can be used as a weapon. No people more repeal hands for people. Speech labels hate speech, reason considered violence by some. Let's just cut the internet. Let's just make the internet illegal. Cut off everyone's tongues. And men might commit rape, so we gotta cut off all their penises and all the penises of the non-males as well, since we've redefined that as well. So it's just gonna go on forever. It's like Days Garfield. Don't be surprised if they reclassify donuts as medicine, since they have the authority to do so. The government has the force to define whatever it wants as whatever it wants, and that's important to remember. Keep your own definitions, but don't force them on me. That's what I would say. The Internet Bill is back, speaking to scammer messages and photos by her from EFF.org. Yeah, I don't really care for all the bills, and they probably already have all our messages and photos. They probably have tons of other ways to get those. So I don't think this bill's probably just gonna be another way, probably like their 57th way, I would say. An Indian being tied for execution by cannon by British Empire soldiers. History Museum of Lahore. When private capitalists assume the power of the state by Chi-Town. Of course, they're always going to say, oh, yeah, I don't really care for private capitalism, authoritarianism either. And then we have, who do you vote for in the 2020 election? And I voted for Biden, but I've changed a bit since then. So, yeah, 28 for Jorgensen, 13 for Biden, 5 for Trump, 14 didn't vote. Let's see. What do we have next? Next we have body cam footage of Jordan Turpin after she escaped from her parents in 2019. I imagine we will be getting significantly more of this in the next 20 years after all the kids experience homeschooling by Chi-Town. That's of course homeschooling bad. But I don't really care for public schooling either. I don't really care for the concept of schooling. I just say throw the children into the woods, hope they learn to survive, because the parents whoever is going to school them is just trying to try and push their values and ideology onto them. That's the innate flaw of schooling. It's every teacher is going to be biased. Learn from yourself. That's why I would consider myself one of the best teachers I ever had. I learned learn what I think, and learn whatever people tell you as well, but don't let them think for you. Think for yourself. What do we have next? MRI brain images just got 64 million times sharper from 2 mm resolution to 5 microns. That's good, I guess. That's my Mov Hugging Inc. Revealed GOP leader who voted to expel Tennessee Free found guilty of sexually harassing interns by Kage, blah blah. Of course, everyone right of center is harassing. No one left center does. I think the one of the state reps in my area just got for harassment. He was a Dem, so both sides really they're just all over the place. It's everyone's probably gonna get got for sexual harassment at some point. I would say. Let's see. I'm going to write down for the internet bill post. They probably already have tons of other ways to look at. Offer. This is just an extra one. "20 years ago, the United States threatened harsh sanctions in Syria for refusing to import beef for 4 months. In response, French small farmer Jose Bové denounced corporate criminals and destroyed McDonald's. He became a celebrity, and thousands attended his trial in support by motherfucking. I don't think he should do any NAP violations and destroy McDonald's, but I do think if you consider that a NAP violation, you can justify whatever you want. Yeah. I guess, let's see what we have next. Chicago police investigating officers' response to mob attack in Loop after witness say officers declined to help. We call it Blue Flu by Chi-Town, Chicago Tribune. Yeah, sometimes police can be scummy like that, That's why, it can be hard sometimes. What liberals mean by book banning, freedom tunes, prioritize. Yeah, that was, yeah, he wants to show my child, pornography, but then she says, "Oh, I want to." Well, here's what she was trying to read, and they say, "Oh, you're trying to show them pornography." It's like when you call them out, they say, "Oh, it's pornography," but when they want to show it, it's just a different way, just a story. It doesn't matter who does something, what someone does, rather than who does what. That's why I always go over. And that video is a good take on that. What do we have next? House passes trans athlete bill ban for girls and women's teams. Uh, I think that I'm personally more on the women's sports side. Get the trans athletes out, have an open division for trans athletes, and have cisgen and have a division for women's athletes. I think especially after puberty. Before puberty, I think you're a little more justified having trans and unisex women's unisex sports. But after puberty, it's just kind of separate them, because that's puberty is this big biological divider that is that we have to take into account. Like this one guy, we already still starting in sport to stay on sex 20th century, uh, all right, sorry. So the WBA and BA are the same thing. CPS returns baby girl North Texas experiences for jaundice treatment. Yeah, the WSA.com by Haramfi. I saw that on Spike Cohen's Twitter. Yeah, you never want to have the state take your kids. Not nice. You should never have. You should. That's the state. It's just untrustworthy. A lot of parents can be untrustworthy too, but sometimes I think you should. You can't just have the state run around and do whatever it wants. And I'm glad Spike Cohen held them accountable. Tech CEO applauds an employee selling off their pet dog to accommodate return to office push. I challenge any of you to outwork me. Clearlink CEO James Clark told his staff in a combat of an unhinged video call. Bizarre.com by Mel Huggin. Yeah, sometimes the corpos can be crazy. What do we have next? So one more page to go, and a lot of stuff was posted today. NIH has poured $1 million to long COVID research will show to work from SStat News. from statnews.com from Harumph. Yeah, I agree with that. Long COVID's kind of more of a Reddit Twitter thing than an actual thing. Florida legislators push bills aimed at making it more difficult to film Cox from TechDirt.com. Yeah, I really disagree. I disagree with that. Yeah, you gotta always hold public officials accountable. Durbin invites Chief Justice John Roberts to testify on Supreme Court Ethics Board Senate Committee from CNN.com by Angela Lover. Yeah, John Roberts is probably corrupt too, like Clarence Thomas. Of course, that's more what the left is going to say than the right, since, John Roberts is a Republican. I think John Roberts, I really don't like a lot of people in government, but I think John Roberts, for our time, is a pretty decent Chief Justice. He's relatively in the center, I would say. And keeps a relatively divided court probably better off than it should be. Ralph Yar's classmates are standing up to join the calls for accountability by Muv Huggin. That's a video of their protest. I guess, I'm personally more on the pro-gun side of the argument, but, protest for everyone. I'm for freedom of assembly. Cornell's president defends free speech against illiberal impulses. Marfa Polak rejects the pernicious premise that universities should project students from offensive ideas. Careers.com by Harumph. Yeah, I agree with that. You gotta support free speech. There's never a post leader that's against more. That shows never college that's more against free speech. That's why I prefer this one. The Biden administration reduced the debt to GDP ratio in the worst possible way by Harumph from Reason. Yeah, that's the government. You can always account for the government to use money in the worst possible way. That's just kind of how the government works. Of course, Washington and Moscow are fighting in a proxy war from Reason. Yeah, it's pretty obvious to pretty much everyone at this point. Charges dropped against Alec Baldwin and fatal onset rush shooting from ABC News by Ninja Lover. Yeah, I guess it was an accident, but I feel like if any of us did it, we'd be charged. We'd be in the big house for life. Washington State School under investigation over gross student staff leaking contents from my host. I saw it on a Brett Cooper's show. Yeah, it's interesting how you say homeschool's so bad. Yeah, public school doesn't look much better if you ask me. Elon Musk has taken away Hillary Clinton's blue check mark. You love to see it from Colin Rugg. Yeah, I love how he took away all the blue checks. It's like, we'll talk about this later, but my most recent post was, you can you justify spending billions to Ukraine, but you can't shell out $8 for Twitter. It makes you think. Before the Russian invasion last year of the West, Lebanon, its main propaganda arms, the Atlantic Council, was attacking Zelensky for passing anti-LGBT bills, which they said appeared to be borrowed directly from neighboring Russia by Nick Greenwald. Yep, goes to show you, Ukraine's not really a friendly country. It's closer to Russia than it is to the U.S. It's by what the propaganda says. They're not too big on LGBTQ, and that's why I think you should really note. It's not really fight for Western values. I think it's more just a proxy war. Just the U.S. Yeah. So next we have college debate team comes out against debate from Reason. That's James Madison says we don't want this anti-trans speaker on campus. You got so it's just that's kind of a lot of colleges these days. These days need to be safe spaces. It used to be just this college needs to be safe spaces. Now the whole world needs to be a safe space. It seems like, and it's just kind of getting really annoying. South Park kind of called it in 2015. You can't just say reality doesn't exist. You gotta play by reality's rules. Sometimes reality's mean, and that's just how it is. You have to accept that. Texas secessionist for arrogant censorship. Now one is suing a Republican lawmaker for calling her treasonous from TexasMonthly.com by Harumph. That sounds interesting. I don't think I'm personally free speech absolute, so I think you should be able to say whatever treasonous stuff you want. I don't really care. This is how many states are attacking innocent people today. Translegislation.com by Frosty Slawman. Massachusetts has one relative to parental rights and education bill listed currently. Just going to show you if you think parents have any rights at all, new labels on LGBTQ. When it's done, sure that bill's down, so that's why I saw the ones in the front of the list. I'm like, and I was like, people aren't being exposed to LGBTQ 24/7. This is literally genocide. I'm more let's write it for you. It's like if you question exposing people, if you exposing people to LGBTQ for 5 seconds a day, or no, if you question them being exposed only 24/7, you're supporting genocide. That's right for you. Very pro LGBTQ circle jerk. Washington legislature votes to repeal death penalty. Axios.com by Harumph. I think that's good. I'm really against the death penalty. I think it gives the state too much power. Maybe if people want to do it, go through with it. I think you could have the case they could, like kind of like physician assisted suicide, or or what's the thing, the thing they have in Canada. And I think that's the maid they have in Canada, maybe something like that, but not the people shouldn't be forced to do something, as if they're not actively violating the NAP, I would say. Why is the new organization shaming this voluntary exchange by Muff Huggin? What is that? That's just a link to an our Facepalm post. I don't really know. It's a beggar. I don't really know what's going on there. We're running out of time. I want to get this done in half an hour. Phone users will never see the story by Muff Huggin. It's about how they paid the big settlement, and it's a GIF from Parks and Rec. Florida Gay Pride Parade canceled after drag show law passes from NBCMiami.com. That's probably just more. That's I think they could probably go through with it, but they probably just want to look like, oh, Florida's the fourth Reich circle jerk. What do we have next? Next we have Trump leads the Senate, their new 2024 Republican primary polling average 538. Yeah, Trump looks like he's probably going to take the Republican nomination, but I think he might see a dark horse come up in the next couple of soon. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Democrats threatened Matt Taibbi with jail time over Twitter files testimony from Reason. He said he misspoke a few words, but now they're trying to come after him. Yeah. So then we have Budweiser response to backlash with new commercial, powerful JRE. Yeah, I don't think their stock's doing too good right now. They're kind of trying to backtrack on their big stomp Dylan Mulvaney. So we'll see how that plays out for them. Washington set to become 10 states ban assault weapon sales from Axios by me. We kind of went over that with the earlier semi-automatic thing, but yeah, I don't think you should be able to do that. People just get them illegally. BuzzFeed News is shutting down by NBC News. That's also one of my posts. And yeah, I think BuzzFeed should stay in the 2010s. They're just kind of circle jerking of whatever the neoliberals want and all the impulse stuff. Larry Elder announces he's running for president from Twitter by Greg Price. Yeah, I guess him and Tim Scott will have to see who's the bigger blackface white for supremacy. The LA Times actually wrote that about Larry Elder. I think he might be one of the most libertarian candidates we get for the GOP. Even I read the famous 2016 LNC debate, so we'll see how that goes. I think Tim Scott's probably more likely to do some damage. I think Tim Scott might be my dark horse shaking it, since he's been in the Senate for decades from the South. That's a good thing he can use against the left, and I think that's probably what's going to push him over if he does really push those. But we'll see what happens there. So we're almost done, and then we have the Ukraine post from earlier. Ukraine and Twitter. With $8 per month versus we could spend billions. Public schools would have to display 10 Commandments under bill passed by Texas Senate. Texas Tribune by Scholar Spur. I don't think they should be forced to do that. I think they be. I would if it were the left, they'd be forced to display if it were the left, they'd be forced to display the pride flag. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thanks for joining me, and hope to see you guys next time.